Yeah,
We can't hear him though.
We're
I don't
going
know.
live. Okay,
There we
we
are.
are live. Good evening. This is Attorney Vincent Davis, and this is The Secret: How to Fight Child Protective Services and Win. I'm joined this evening by my two co-hosts, Miss G, Miss Georgette Truan, all the way from South Central Los Angeles. Miss
South
G,
Central.
yeah, you live in South Central. How are you, Miss
No,
G?
I don't live in South Central, but okay, I'm good. How are you?
Good. Okay. And we have Mr. Darren Guay all the way from Maine. How are you, Darren?
I'm good, Mr. Davis. I do live in Maine.
Mm. That's good to know, Darren.
Miss G, what's your zip code?
I'm not gonna tell people what my zip code is, Vincent.
That's not like saying what street you live on.
I'm not gonna tell people what my zip code is. But thank you.
Are you in the country?
I'm in the United States of America.
Are you in California?
I think so. Yes, I believe so.
Are you in Los Angeles County?
I'm in Los Angeles County.
Okay. Are
Does
you
that make
near
more
the
sense?
intersection? Are you near the intersection?
Oh my God! You know what, Davis? Please, please, I'm begging you. Just stop. Just stop. Stop. Oh my God! Why don't you just give them my address? Why don't you? Like, really? Come on.
Okay, folks. Yeah,
Be nice.
have you
Be
guys been
nice.
holding down the show?
Yes, and
That
it's
is
not
not
good
as
without you.
good as with you, Mr. D.
Nope, it's not good without you. So we're glad to see you very much.
You know, I'm starting a couple new shows. And one is going to be a show where I only answer questions of people that come on. And I'm thinking of putting it only on YouTube and only if you're a member of the channel.
I think that's a great idea.
Anyway, I wanted to talk to Grace about it today, but I just not, just never got around to it. Grace, I see that you are saying that our guest from Carolina, North Carolina or South Carolina, Grace, said that she's logging in. So when she logs in, we'll start with her and talk about what's going on with her in Carolina. While we're waiting, do either of you co-hosts have a question for me?
I do. Just 1 second. I'll get it for you right now.
She had to go off air to get that, huh?
Yeah, it's yeah. I don't want to flash anyone. Okay, so I have 2 questions. How do you start a foolproof appeal? I have 3 questions. So that's number 1. How do you start a foolproof appeal?
Appeal of what? And Miss Tiny says, "Is this live?" My
Yes.
tiny animal family. I'm offended, my tiny. Of
Mm-hmm.
course we are live. We only do these shows live. Now, sometimes you see them recorded because you missed the live version. But my tiny, if you have a question for me, better post it because in a few minutes, this thing's going to go crazy with people asking questions.
Okay, so you're not going to answer that question. My second question is, what do
Well,
you write for the writ?
hold on a second. You know, you threw me off when you say foolproof appeal. And I ask you a follow-up question, which you didn't answer.
I can't
What
because it was
what
somebody that asked me to ask you. She just asked me to ask you these questions, 3 questions on the show.
I've been dealing with people all day that keep interrupting me. And I thought I would come to this show and I would not have that problem. Miss G, you can't ask me how to do an appeal without telling me what type of appeal. There are about 3 or 4 types of appeals you can have in a CPS case in California, probably in most states. It depends on what type of appeal. You do different things to have a foolproof or winning appeal. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like, how do you have a good operation? Well, is that a brain surgery? Is it a heart surgery? Is it a ingrown toenail surgery? It's all different. It's all surgery. So if you tell me what type of appeal, I can answer that question.
Okay, I can't answer that. I'm sorry.
Darren, you would have been really interested in this. Right before the show, I did a training at my office, and it was on discovery in civil rights cases against CPS social workers. The woman, one of the women in the training has been a paralegal for 18 years.
Mm.
She told me that at the end of the training, she goes, I've learned more from you in this 20 minutes that I've learned my entire 18 years of practice or working as a paralegal. So you got to be specific. That's one of the things I told her tonight. Your thought process and your analysis has to be tight and has to be specific. I think we talked about this on the show before. You just can't ask me general questions and expect me to give you an answer that's going to help you in your case. It's not going to work. Not going to work. Over the weekend, I spent some time with the producer, the former producer at KABC who used to produce my show, and we were talking about that very thing. He's at another radio company, bigger one, and he's talking to me about coming on there to do a show. But anyway, it has to be tight. Ms. G, what's your second question? Because it looks like our guest isn't showing up.
Um, when would be a good time to file a reunification petition?
Well, I'm not sure what you mean by reunification petition.
Okay, I have no questions. I'm sorry. Because
There's nothing.
I'm not
There's,
asking. I'm not the one asking the questions. It's coming from someone. So all I did is I told her
there's
I
no
was
su- there's no such thing as a reunification petition.
gonna. Okay.
So sorry, Mr. Darren Guy. Do you have anything?
Sure, I do, because this has been coming up a lot lately on the other shows. So everybody says, CPS, this, that, and the other. There's no overseeing groups. There's nobody that oversees them. But that is the job of the ombudsman, correct? Is that supposed to be the overseer
No,
to make sure? No?
no, not in California.
Okay. Who in California or who in general is supposed to be the overseer of CPS and what they're doing?
In California, it's by county, and it would be the Board of Supervisors, which we elect.
Okay.
The Board of Supervisors run the county, each county, and CPS, and at least in California, is run at the county level. In some states like Oregon, it's run at the state level. I think Arizona is one of those states too. And it's different as you go across the country. But there's somebody that does oversee CPS. It just seems to you like there's nobody overseeing CPS.
Right. Right.
But there
So
is.
this is why it's so important to make sure that during this election that we pay attention to who these are.
You got
Yes.
it. You got it.
Mm-hmm. So there you go, everyone. There's the answer to why and what from the man himself.
Okay. Hey, Miss Grace, our producer, is our guest from Carolina coming? Grace? Did we lose Grace?
Grace is gone too.
Here's somebody that says, I'm sorry that I had gotten sick and couldn't do the show that one day. I would still love to do your show. Great. Come on, Rob. Have your person reach out to me again. I would love to get my family story out to more people and maybe to teach some more people can hear and see the corruption that we are dealing with. I believe that they have a way that they have way overstepped their boundaries. I think Rob is expressing the sentiment of all the folks in California and in the country. Oh, Grace typed a message in the private chat. She's trying to get in touch with the guest. Another question, Mr. Guai, while we wait for the guest, or you want me to take something from?
Sure. Yeah. So I've been like face deep in these. Does everybody? So this will be kind of like a conversation, not really a question. I found these things by the Government Oversight Committee. Do you know about and from what I've gathered is it must be something like you talk about. It looks like each state has a unique, a difference of people that come through and they call themselves the Government Oversight Committee, a different array of people. Now, they, in the state of Maine, for instance, they have done these reports on the Child Protective Service investigations, and it's done by the Government Oversight Committee, by the Office Program Evaluation and Government Accountability. Now, do you know about these reports, Mr. Davis? Do you guys have this in California?
I don't know what report you're referring to, my friend.
All right. Well, no, that's what I was just saying. So this was an investigation that they did. And like I said, it says it comes from the Government Oversight Committee.
I had this conversation with a client the other day. Let's not use pronouns. Because when you say they, I don't know who you're referring to.
Yeah, well, that's why I said they, I think, are a component of the lawmakers in the, around the state. But
you're talking about Maine, right?
Yeah, in Maine. But I would think when they would say Government Oversight Committee that this is an assumption that there would be a multitude of those throughout states. I'll look into that part because my question was about the validity of these reports and how they compare to CPS and the laws. Because in this report, for instance, I'll do this for you. For instance, they have this part in here where it says assumptions. Okay. And then they have where it breaks down the reality of what it is according to this group. Let me get this for you right here. This one question I just had in my hand. Sorry for that. It was off the. And I guess what I'm trying to get at is I kind of want to know what, but it's an unfair question for you because you don't have this. Like, so is there a committee in California that will do recommendations for you over the CPS unit? And does CPS have to follow those recommendations? Like if they do this investigation right here, the Child Services investigation.
The answer is yes and maybe. Maybe they have to follow the recommendations. Or, it's all political, right? And it might be, we're going to follow those recommendations. And then there's an argument about whether they're really following them. Right. Did we get a guest? I heard somebody pop on. No, I guess not.
Okay, so there's this one. So, am I good, Mr. D?
Yeah.
So this says here right here. It says misconception 3: CPS caseworkers have authority to enter a home and compel parents to cooperate with an investigation. This is underneath its response. Generally, a family's engagement with caseworkers during an investigation is voluntary. Parents can decline to speak with caseworkers or allow them into their home. Additionally, parents may decline to allow their children to be interviewed. They may also choose not to sign releases permitting caseworkers to obtain information from their medical, mental health, and substance use treatment providers. Parents also do not have to participate in any services recommended by DHHS. The department, with the advice of the Office of the Attorney General, may seek a court order to compel the parents to engage in some of these activities. With parents engaging being largely voluntary, CPS caseworkers instead rely on social work skills to build rapport with parents and encourage their participation with the agency in investigation processes.
That's the way it's supposed to be.
Okay, so that's this.
In practice, at least in cases I've been involved in, it's never like that.
Right. So why couldn't you, as an attorney, Mr. Davis, use things like these that the lawmakers are saying that they're misconception? How come you can't bring, and I think I know what the answer is, but why can't you bring these into the courtroom and say, look, this is wrong. And our government is the group that's holding them accountable are saying that this is wrong and this is what the law states. So, I mean, is it about the whole thing where you say law is law and it's not law that you think? Is that the answer to that?
Yes. And by the way, that's just a report that you're reading from. It's not law.
Right. Well, I mean, well, that's what I'm saying. There's a misconception, and then they read out their
So
thing underneath it.
you think, most people would think that that official report is the law in your state, and it is not. There are
Right.
only two things that are the law in your state: what the appellate courts have said and what the state legislature has said in statutes that have been passed and signed by your governor.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't include anything else.
So then, what are the purpose of them writing these reports and then putting in those are those things for the future that they're hoping that they're supposed to be, or that's the way it's supposed to be, but that's just not law? Like, is that like the design of the plan that never got passed?
I'm going to tell you what the purpose is, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not trying to be a smartass.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm being honest. I learned in a college senior class on governments, study of governments, that those types of things are used as guidelines to help placate the population, to make you be obedient and to follow the rules. That's my humble opinion. But if
But
it's
if
not
that's the case, then they are absolutely not doing so.
right,
Because
do you think your government is fair and just?
no, I don't. I don't at all.
Right.
But that's my opinion.
Right. That's your opinion, and you get to have your opinion. But listen, it's hard for governments. Think about in history, let's go back in history. How do governments control the population? How do they make people pay taxes? Right?
Smoke and mirrors.
How do they get them to go along with, what they want them to go along with? They make them feel good. They
Mm-hmm.
throw them some benefits, some social services, right? And then, we won't have a revolution.
That changes my whole viewpoint of these things. So in all reality, unless it has like the 22 MRSA yada 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 numbers next to it, the rest of it is just assumption or crap.
It's just mental masturbation, my friend.
Got you. That's crazy.
I believe that some people truly believe that that's what we should be aspiring to. The problem is money gets in the way.
Which they have all of it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. For instance, then we have this part here. Check. It says what child abuse and neglect is not. It says some situations may indicate that a family or child needs community services or support, but do not meet the definition of child abuse or neglect. Examples include living in poverty, including lack of food, clothing, or shelter that is not injurious to the child, accidental injuries, even if regular and recurring, parental prenatal substance use, physical or mental impairment of the parent, including substance use, if it has little or no impact on the child, isolated incidents of domestic violence when the child was not present, physical discipline like spanking, as long as it does not cause bodily injury. Now, I bet you every one of the clients that you run into, or 3/4, are in there for one of those reasons, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
Right. So now you have this book that's...
Well, that book is only for Maine, right?
It was written for Maine, but it's labeled Office of Program Evaluation and Government Accountability.
For Maine or for the United States?
This, if you read it by just the logo on the front, you would say Maine.
Yeah.
So,
but even in Maine, I'm sure that those aren't being followed.
Oh, no, of course not. My kid would be right here with me.
Right.
My kid should be here by me anyway. But with those things, right? You know what? I'm going to do a little more digging. I want to see what they must have in your state for this. Because you know what? This is not like this is popularized. You know, it took me a lot of digging to come up with this and to talk to a couple of people. But I'm just very curious to why they would waste all this money and time on something that's so stupid to just give opinion like this. And not like you couldn't hold any this. None of this would hold weight in a courtroom, correct?
Well, you know what? When on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the most heavy weight that you would want, it might be a 3 or a 4.
Mm-hmm.
But and in most cases, in my humble opinion, it's not enough for you to get your kid back.
Right. It's not enough to go in there and say this says in the legislature that it's because it's not that. It's just
Right.
a should be opinion that this is what it's supposed to be like.
And if you did it without a lawyer, you'd probably be laughed out of the courtroom.
Right. Of course.
Right.
Absolutely. That was never my intention about not being a lawyer with it. I'm just, finding these things. It's funny because we find all this stuff and these provisions, we talked about it all the time with the vote thing.
Right.
And then you said it on one of the shows, you said it, the laws are in place. They're there already to protect our families and our children. But, like we talked about the Title IV funding that time. And, like it doesn't say steal their children. It says reunify.
Right.
But what do we do with it now when all of these things say to do this and that unit is not doing it? Like, how do you, it's got to be hard for you in court. Like, how do you fight this stuff? Like, you see a bunch of these things, you see how it's supposed to be, you see how you should have new angles of law to defend or legislature, but you can't because all of this stuff, I guess, is opinion. It's got to be very difficult.
Right. It is, as you well know. Miss G, are you with us? You muted?
Yeah, I'm here. Just listening.
So what's been going on, Miss G? You have any thoughts on what Mr. Guy was talking about there? He's talking about that his government is not really doing what he thought they should be doing.
No, I have no thoughts on that.
Any thoughts on anything tonight?
No, I'll just let you guys talk. I'm here. I'm just here.
You're just here tonight?
Yeah.
Nothing to say?
I'll just let you guys talk.
Trying to bring you into the conversation.
There we go.
I have nothing to say.
That's highly unusual.
Yeah, isn't it? It is unusual, huh?
Miss G, what's some of the new stuff that you've been studying on?
I seriously, I have nothing to say about anything right now, guys. Unless somebody writes a question that I can, give my opinion on or my feedback on, I would love to do that. But I have nothing to say right now. Okay, you can take the spotlight off me now. That's
Oh, hey, guess what? Oh my gosh, are we on 1 week away from first Saturday, or we got 2 weeks?
First Saturday is here again?
It's the 23rd. It's Monday.
That goes by really fast, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, like life isn't spinning fast enough now. At least I know when it's the first Saturday of the month. That's how I gauge my months, or days, months, whatever.
Wow.
Now I guess it's not this one, the next one, right?
Maybe 2 weeks, maybe.
Yeah, but they're no longer
that
than
is
that.
true. I was told that my tiny animal family, I was told back in 2012 that corporal punishment is legal in California. So if a parent hits her child or his child, I was told that's okay as long as it's on the buttocks or the hand, but not on the face or the head. I was told that too. So why is this camera on me? Why am I
What?
getting why am I getting the spotlight?
You're the
I don't,
star.
no, I'm
You're
not.
the,
I don't want
you're
to.
st-
I don't want to be the star. I'm good. I'm good being behind the scene. Just remove me from the. Oh my goodness, that is so cruel. I don't like this. I don't like it. I'm.
Oh.
I don't like it. Remove me. I don't know how to do this. Just take me off. Just Grace, can you help out? Vincent,
Praise.
Vincent.
as far as I know, Grace works for me. So, Miss
Oh.
G, how are your other shows going?
It's going good, I think.
What show? Why don't you tell us what shows you're doing or working on?
All right.
I just did the prayer show today.
What? Tell me about the prayer show. What's that all about?
I do. I basically do what people request of me. Sometimes, like people will say, "Miss G, talk about this," and I research it and I talk about it, and then I incorporate prayers in there as well. Um, so there's prayers. There's talk about God in the Bible. There's talk about peace and prayers on how to cope with trauma and stuff like that.
And
So
are you doing any other shows?
I'm doing Fight CPS with Miss G and Real Talk with Miss G.
Do you have any co-hosts?
And Relatives Fight CPS. I forgot that one.
Holy smokes.
I have Stacy with me. She's actually a nurse in New York. And she beat the system and she's really good.
Did she get her children back or her child back?
She has it. She has her kids back. Yeah.
Good, good, good. Mr. Guy, what other shows do you do?
And we have obviously we have the Men in Trenches Monday, Wednesdays, Fridays. That deals with it deals with everybody's fight in the trenches, but more or less focused on the man battles and the father's battles, the dad battles, whatever you want to call themselves, and ways to that we're all looking at it, how the family has been broken down, to be separated away from the fathers being pushed to the side, and how fathers can things that they can do and look towards to get themselves back and get that angle of get the family back to the family the way it's supposed to be with mom, dad, and child. And then we also have the CPS Hunt for Justice, and that one I'm focused more on not so much the stories of what's happened and everything, but more the outcomes, like people that have found things that they've won their kids in ways that they've defeated CPS. Trying to break out, that way people like you, Mr. D, can watch and, maybe you'll hear something different that happened in a case, like an attorney pulled this, so that's what I'm kind of looking for is just remedies, not just talking about the case themselves, but remedies for people to hear, seeking their justice, suing them, and those outcomes. And that one's, when do I do that? Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. Is that one?
Now, CPS Men in Trenches. Do you have a co-host on that show? No, or no?
We just introduced Mr. Jason Barr tonight because as we know, Mike Bartz has stepped aside. So we handed it over to a selected pick, and he's a great pick. Jason Barr, he's a really cool cat, and he was a great pick for the show. And he had his first show with us tonight, and he's a really good dude. He's, you know, not only does he's involved in some situation himself, but what's nice about him is he's coming in pretty much blind to what CPS truly is and the way that it works with the actual person. You know, he was one of those. He has a story behind it, you know, his history himself, but he didn't realize how bad, you know, everything was and how the laws were twisted and manipulated, and you know how the fight was. So it's interesting to hear his aspect and actually watch him learn through what he's, you know, what he's doing in his current situation. And something tells me that we'll probably be pretty close with this situation. So yeah, he's a great dude, and that'll be good.
You know, there's a question on the screen. How do I go about getting assistance in, I guess that's going to be Florida?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I won't try to pronounce that last name. Maybe Felici Chiasano. Why don't you do me a favor? And you see Miss G, right under her nose, there's a telephone number. 626-631-8901. After the show, give Miss G a call, or tomorrow morning, and she will help you with that. All right? And then somebody else said, where is all this going? We're not sure where all this is going because our guest from Carolina didn't show up. So our whole thing went out, script went out the door. But I'm willing to answer a few more questions. Otherwise, we can cut the show short tonight. I have to do get my steps in, right, Miss G?
Yes.
Oh,
Whatever you said, Mr. Davis.
Oh.
You're always right. I have to agree with you.
Sim Salabim.
I know. Your
Oh,
math.
watch this.
Your math.
Darren,
Your
Darren,
math worked.
Darren, did you hear what she said? She said, "You're always right, Mr. Davis."
Yeah, I heard that. That was awesome. What did you turn it on?
That was awesome.
Did you turn it on? That was awesome.
Why
Do you
is
see
that
this?
so funny? Why is that so funny, Davis?
Why? I can't tell you why.
Mr. D, you never come up to Maine this month. I went to the dump without you yesterday.
You did?
Yeah. So that's fine. I'm used to it. Going to the dump by myself, that is. Oh, there's Big Mike right there.
Hey, Mike, how are you? Does anybody know, is Mike still doing his own show?
No, he gave up. He's got a job now. So
Is he working 24/7?
Yeah, I guess so.
Okay, my
It's the
Tiny
typical,
says,
you know?
I asked him who he was, but he got defensive. Thanks, Darren, for explaining.
Who?
You know what that's about?
Who's that?
I asked him who he was, but he got defensive.
I know my tiny animal. She's so sweet.
She's so nice.
She's so sweet. I love her.
Real Human says, my attorney said I shouldn't file a motion yet. Is that true? She's asking about a 1028 hearing. I don't know what state you're in, my friend, so I really can't answer that.
I don't know what. I've never heard of a 1028 hearing unless I'm.
Yeah. Mike says no time slot available. Mike, there's 24 hours in a day, 7 days a week. What do you mean there's no time slot available? You, my friend, can go on anytime.
Yeah,
we can put you live at midnight, Mike. The midnight show. How about that? We have a new midnight show, 12 o'clock Pacific, 3 a.m. It's like that early morning show on a new show on TV. I forgot.
Well, how many more times is this guy going to say goodbye?
Are there
Who?
any?
Mike. That's twice today, and now he wants to come back. Can't stay away. He bowed out of his show this morning, and he bowed out of Men in Trenches, and now here he goes again.
You know how those Air Force guys are. They're
Yeah.
a little sensitive.
Mm-hmm.
Michelle says, "Are there any repercussions for an attorney, GAL, filing false documents in court about a case?" Yes, there are. There are criminal, probably, and in court sanctions repercussions. The only thing is, you got to bring it up, or your attorney has to bring it up, and you have to prove it. I forgot his name. He's bald.
That's the one that we were just talking about,
Yeah.
my tiny family.
It's in New York. I couldn't tell you about New York. I'm only licensed here in California. Mike says I will contact Mr. Davis. Miss G, do you need a male co-host on any of your shows?
Sure.
Okay, I want you to talk to Mr. Mike Bartz, Air Force Air Force veteran.
Okay. I don't have Mike's information whatsoever, so.
Hey, Grace, producer Grace, please
Oh, that's
connect
funny.
the inimitable Mike Bartz and the inimitable Miss G, Georgette Truan. Now that will be a team. That will be
Yeah.
a show.
They had their combat the other night. Remember, Miss G? That was the one from the Air Force that was telling you off. Told you to whatever. Last week, when me and you were by ourselves, yeah, that was that one.
Let's see some sparks fly.
Oh, you got them going all around.
Okay, you know what? I'm gonna end the show early because we don't have any guests, and Miss G looks a little somber tonight for whatever reason. Nobody
I'm not.
has any
Honest to
questions.
God, I did 6 cavity fillings.
Oh,
And I have 3 root canals I have to get done. And I didn't take ibuprofen today, so I'm feeling pain. So I'm trying. Besides, every time I ask you a question, you tell me I'm not asking the right question. And then I went on to the next question, and you said it's not the right way. And then I'm like, I just gonna listen to you guys. Just let you guys talk. Not just be in the background.
Who's Bree Guai?
that's my daughter.
Oh, how old is Bree?
She is 24.
Wow, she live up there in Maine as well.
She does. Yep. She's right down the road a piece.
Can you get them fired for perjuring themselves on the stand? The answer is theoretically, Carolyn, you can. You definitely can. Okay, folks, we'll call it a night. I want to thank everybody for watching. Tune in tomorrow. Hopefully, Grace will have a guest that is willing to show up. And if anybody's out there watching right now and you want to be a guest, email Grace at vincentwdavis.com. Anybody want to talk about seeking some legal help, you call Ms. Georgette Truan. You can reach her at 626-631-8901, or
You can text also. You can text that number as well.
you text that number. Very good. Very good. Okay, folks. I'll see you guys tomorrow, 7 p.m. Pacific time.
It's good seeing you again, Davis.
Good night.
Good night.
Yes, sir.